Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 found footage horror film They Are Watching. The film is written and directed by J.M. Stelle and it stars Keegan Macy and J.M. Stelle, who wrote and directed it. Right, the film focuses on Keegan Macy's character called Daniel. Now, him and his best friend James, played by J.M. Stelle, they've got like their own like web series going. You know, it's like they kind of investigate like the dark corners of the web and all this kind of stuff. And for his next content, he kind of agrees with his partner that they're going to search the dark web and pick up one of those boxes from the dark web. They're very dark and dangerous boxes, so to speak. So he does that. The first box turns up. It's all a bit weird. It's got weird writing all over it, and it turns out to be a hard drive. Plays the hard drive. There's some scary, horrible stuff on there. Now, because the viewership keeps going up and it seems to be getting very, very popular with the viewers, Daniel is very, very keen to continue this, but his partner, James, isn't. He's kind of like, no, let's leave it now. No more sort of thing. No more. Thank you very much. But Daniel basically is fascinated by this and he wants to keep pursuing it. However, he doesn't need to keep pursuing it because he keeps getting packages sent to him. The next package comes in heads to the PO box as per usual, and it's another hard drive showing some really freaky stuff. And then there's another package that is hand delivered basically to his house in that's when it starts to become very, very dodgy because he realizes then that they know where he lives. He's starting to get dodgy emails, but he can't let go. However, this all is beginning to lead down a very dangerous and dark path for both Daniel and James. Right, what are my thoughts on They Are Watching? Now, I think this has got a very solid premise here. The dark web, I suppose, to many of us is a fascinating subject. You know, is it real? Does it exist? Would anybody really be interested in checking out the dark web? I personally don't think I would. But it's one of those kind of urban legends out there, you know, that the dark web exists and there's some really dodgy stuff on there. So it's kind of dealing with like this, you know, subject matter that many of us don't have a great deal of knowledge on, but you know, it's something it's like an itch you've got to scratch almost. The premise here, I think, works very, very well. And there are aspects of this that are very, very creepy at times, especially when the film kind of moves then into the footage that has been sent to them by these packages on the dark web. And the footage essentially shows what appears to be like a killing room, I suppose is the best way to put it, with some like weird deaths that are taking place, and it would appear that people are being tortured and murdered to the highest bidder, I suppose is the best way of describing it. While it doesn't show anything massively graphic and over the top, it hints at a lot, and that the dark web footage does come across as really quite creepy. But beyond that, the film doesn't offer a great deal else. It kind of goes exactly where you think the film's going to go. So in your head, how you think the film's going to go, just from the synopsis that I've given you at the beginning, that's where it goes, basically. You know, it ain't hard to figure it out. There's not a great deal of many surprises here. And to me, one of the key things about found footage and found footage of this type is always a need to keep filming. And there are moments in this where you're kind of like, okay, why are you filming that? But also there's things that happen in this where you would directly question the sanity of Daniel for sure. You know, it becomes clear fairly quickly that this is starting to escalate and dangerously treading into dodgy ground, and it's getting very, very risky. However, he takes no steps to protect himself or anybody else. I mean, there is a scene, you do see him with a gun near the end, but it proves pointless anyway. But if you've been getting packages from the dark web, number one, and these packages seem to suggest that there's someone being murdered on them, regardless of how many views you'd get, you would report that to the police. Okay. And then there's the whole scenario where it gets to the point where they know where he lives and he suspects they've potentially been in his house. Why stay there then? If you suspect that this is real and they are really people from the dark web and it's not a prank or anything like that, what are you doing, man? Why are you staying there? Because it's going to lead to the inevitable. So the character doesn't behave like a rational, normal human being. I know he's excited that he's getting this footage. I know he's excited that, if you like, his podcast stroke channel is taking off. But despite numerous warnings from his best mate, James, who is like the producer and researcher sort of thing, he just keeps going down this path that inevitably is going to lead to nowhere good. And to me, that's when the film kind of moves into unbelievable territory. And if I can't believe what's happening in front of me on a found footage film, the film starts to lose me. You know, I've got to feel like I'm there. I've got to feel like, you know, regardless of the decisions they're making, it's not making any difference. And I don't believe a normal, rational person would make the decisions that this character Daniel made in this film. I think it probably would have been much better if he still tried to do all the right things, i.e. change his locks, put some security system in place, and do a few other things. Despite all of that, it doesn't matter. They still kind of pursue him and make his life a living hell. But no, he just continues to make poor decisions, and that I found that really, really frustrating, to be honest. So, well, I don't think this is a bad one. I enjoyed the premise, as I mentioned. I do think it's fundamentally flawed, and I think it kind of breaks some fairly sacred found footage rules, in my opinion. I mean, these are only my own rules in my head, but it has to tick certain boxes for being a found footage film, and this one kind of lost me. But it had moments where it kind of hinted at Hostel and the Poughkeepsie tapes. You know, it kind of took inspiration from those two things, but it didn't do a great deal else to kind of you know, other than be inspired by them, it didn't do anything else to kind of, you know, really, you know, get the spirit from those films. And, you know, the ending just kind of lost me, unfortunately. So I think this one was a missed opportunity. But beyond that, you know, I've certainly watched worse, that's for sure. So thanks for checking out this review, guys.